So we're starting to get a few people that are arriving. So I might just spend the next minute or so telling you who I am. My name's Isabel. Some of you may have crossed paths with me over the last 5 or so years that I've worked at the Shire of Dardanup. But if you haven't, I'm the Programs Officer at the Shire of Dardanup. My role entails organising programs, workshops, activities for our community. You know, a couple of weeks ago when this whole coronavirus crisis kind of came to a head, or started to come to a head, you know, I was really thinking about how we could continue to run workshops and, you know, provide that to our community, but in a different way. And that's how these live videos have kind of come about. And the support that, you know, I've received as Programs Officer, but also that our Communications Officer, Christy, has received, who set up the iHeartDardanup Facebook page, has been overwhelming. And we can't thank you all enough for everything, all your positive comments and your engagement and all that you have provided us over the last couple of weeks. It really means a lot to us. Alrighty, so enough of me waffling on about who I am. Let's get cooking. So, one of my loves, apart from organising great workshops, is that I also love baking. I find it very therapeutical. It gives me a bit of a release and allows me to switch off and focus just on one thing at a time. So, what you should have received an ingredients list. It's on a post down the thread a little bit, but if you haven't, what we will be needing today is 1.5 cups of plain flour. If you don't have plain flour, that's fine. You can use wholemeal flour instead. Spelt flour is a great alternative that you can use 1:1, or you can use oat flour. Oat flour is really easy to make. If you see at the shops oat flour, it's like $3 for like 500 grams. That's ridiculous. What you want to do is get your oats about, if you're using them for this recipe, it would be about 140 grams. Chuck it in your blender or your food processor and just blend them up or grind them up until they're a fine flour. I've used oat flour in this recipe before and it's worked out really well. It gives a really beautiful earthy kind of flavour to the recipe. So yeah, that's your tip. If you ever run out of flour, I've also used oat flour as an alternative. What you also need is half a teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 really ripe bananas. The riper, the better. So, like, my bananas are practically black. That's how ripe they are. If you've got an excess amount of bananas, this is the perfect recipe. If I don't feel like making banana bread, I will often just cut them up and pop them in this freezer because they're perfect for smoothies. You will also need 1/2 cup of Greek or plain yogurt. This is as a replacement for oil or butter. This makes the recipe a little bit healthier depending on what your definition of health is, but also, you know, just gives it a really beautiful moist flavour, texture, and a really beautiful flavour. And then you'll need 1/2 cup of sugar. Today I'm using a mix of brown sugar and caster sugar because I buy my sugar from the bulk food store in town, and I don't have very much left and it's not that easy just to duck out and to get some at the moment, so I'm kind of making do with what I've got. You can also use honey or maple syrup, caster sugar, another sweetener alternative if you would like. Okay, enough of me waffling about what we're going to use. Let's get started with our cooking. So I've got my oven preheated to 175 degrees. and my oven is fan forced. First of all, you want to get a bowl, like so, and we're going to add the flour, the baking soda and the salt into the bowl. So, got my big bag of flour. I do a lot of baking. Salt and baking soda. Now, I believe I did a quick Google earlier in the week, and if you are using baking powder, you can, it's I think a 1 to 3 ratio. So I'm using half a teaspoon of baking soda, so you would use 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Alrighty. So they say that baking is a science, which it is, but this recipe is very forgiving. So I don't really go with the crazy knife to kind of level out my flour or anything like that. I kind of just like push it against the bag to get a really nice like level cut. So we're going to use 1.5 cups of flour. So that's into the bowl. Then we're going to use 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to use 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. I got this this spoon here, measuring spoon, as a Secret Santa gift one year. Best Secret Santa gift ever. I use it all the time. That's the only good Secret Santa gift I've probably ever gotten. But that's another story. Okay, once you've got all your ingredients in the bowl, give it a mix, because there's nothing worse than someone taking a bite of banana bread and, you know, getting a big chunk of baking soda. It's very bitter and not very nice. So give it a good mix, and then just pop that to the side for now. Now we're going to mix together our wet ingredients. So, first of all, get your bananas, and you want to peel them into a bowl and give them a good mash. Now, if you're like me and hate the smell of very ripe bananas, then feel free to block your nose. There's something about really ripe bananas that the smell is just really unpleasant. If they're bruised and they've got, you know, yucky bits on them, that's good. That means they're perfect. All right, so get them in the bowl. If someone wants to say in the comments if they don't like the smell of really ripe bananas, and I'm not alone, that would be good. But if not, maybe I am alone. Alrighty. So give them a good mash. Now, baker's choice on this one. You can either give them a really solid mash with, I'm just mashing around with a fork, but you can mash it with a masher if you want. I just find a fork's probably easier to clean, or for my husband to clean later on. So yeah, give it a really good mash. Like I was saying before, baker's choice. So you can mash them up really fine and then not have very many chunky bits in your banana bread. Otherwise, you can give it a really light mash, and it can be a little bit more chunkier, and you'll get like chunks of mashed banana in the recipe. So I'm kind of going to do mine probably a little bit more chunkier. I know that some people don't really like the texture of banana, and then if you're one of those people, then I would recommend mashing it up a little bit finer. So this is what my banana looks like mashed in the bowl. Then we are going to add 2 eggs, which I didn't get out of the fridge, so give me a second. There we go. I thought I was so organized, but you always forget something. Okay, so I just add I kind of create like a little bit of a like space in the side like that, where my banana's not slipping all over the place. And then I just crack my egg into that little space in the corner. Saves me whisking it in a separate bowl. So always crack your eggs on a flat surface. It just makes them easier to break and you're less likely to get shell into your mix. But a handy little baker's tip, if you do happen to get shell into the mix, use that one side of the eggshell to scoop out the shell that's in the mix. It's a lot easier than trying to use your finger or another spoon. Okay, give them a little whisk on the side. You can't, I'll see if I can kind of rotate it so you can see what I'm doing, but I'm just kind of whisking in the side, not really incorporating the banana just yet. So give them a light whisk. And now I'm going to add my sugar and yogurt to this mix. So, as I said before, I'm using a mix of brown sugar and caster sugar because I don't have access to the bulk food stores where I usually buy a lot of my staple ingredients. And you can't buy brown sugar at the supermarkets in paper, which is why I don't buy it. I now buy it from the bulk food stores. Anyways, so I've got a bit of a mix of the two. And if you want, you can reduce the sugar to 1/3 of a cup. It depends how sweet you would like your banana bread. So yeah, I've got just under a cup there of a mix of caster sugar and brown sugar. I've not done this before, but I'm sure it will work out fine. And then I'm also then going to add 1/2 cup of Greek yogurt. So I just use this Mandela Premium Natural Yogurt. I find that it is one of the more yummier ones. But I have also used Chobani, I've used YoPro, I've used, what is it called, Farmers Union. You can use lots of different, I've used flavoured yogurt. What's the brand? YoPro does like a banana flavoured yogurt. So I've used that before. I think I've even used strawberry yogurt when I add like a few strawberries into the mix. So add that into your other ingredients, your eggs, banana and sugar, and give that a good mix. I regret my bowl choice. I feel like I should have went a bit of a bigger bowl and then I could have mixed it a little bit more vigorously, but that's fine. You just have to bear with me for a second. Okay, so once you've kind of incorporated that all together, you want to get your dry ingredients again and add your wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. Now, you really want to gently incorporate your wet ingredients into your dry ingredients because if you overmix it, you're going to make your banana bread tough. So you gently just fold it and you just want to pretty much mix it until you can't see any dry flour anymore. So you're just kind of folding it, being gentle, treating it with a little bit of love, and giving it a bit of a mix until all that flour is incorporated. Okay, so now your banana bread should look like this once it's all mixed together. Now you can add in your mix-ins. Now you don't have to add mix-ins, but you can if you are going to. Now is the time. I've done fruit like blueberries, strawberries. A trick with your frozen or fresh fruit when you are going to put them in like a muffin or a loaf like this is that you want to coat them in a little bit of flour, and that will stop them from sinking to the bottom of the tin. You can also put in choc chips, walnuts. I'm going to put in some raisins. You can also do like a peanut butter swirl. So once you put it into the tray, you could dollop some peanut butter into the tin, and then you could use a toothpick and kind of marble it through. I've also done like a crumble and added that on top. So I've mixed butter, sugar and oats and a little bit of flour together to create a crumble, and then I put that on top as well. So really it's up to you. I've done it heaps of times without any mix-ins at all. It just depends on what you're feeling like. So if you're going to do a mix-ins, I recommend no more than half a cup. So I'm going to do a little bit less than half a cup of raisins into this one. I have been baking a lot of hot cross buns at the moment. I'm obsessed with hot cross buns. They were like one of my favorite foods. And I finally nailed the recipe, and oh, they're so good. So good. All right, and these are the leftovers from that. Okay, so now you want to put it in a tin. So I've got my silicone tin within my hard tin, only because my silicone tin seems to expand outwards and I get a really wonky looking banana bread, and I don't really want that. So if you don't have a silicone tin, you can either put some, rub your hard tin with some butter, spray oil, or you can line it with some baking paper. If that's what you need to do, now is the time to do that. But because I have a silicone tin, I can just, it's not really a tin, silicone tray, I can just pour it straight in to the tin. Like so. And then I'll just use my fork that I use to whisk my eggs and mash my banana to get just the excess off the spatula. All right. At this point, you can, if you're doing a crumble, you can put your crumble on top, or you can put some sliced bananas. It looks, if you're giving this away as a gift, it looks really nice. If you get like a whole banana and you slice it like down the middle, like long ways, like this, and then you put the two halves like cut side up across the top and bake it like that, it looks really nice. But if I'm just going to leave mine as is, looks like this in the tray, and then I'm going to pop it into my preheated oven. Now, I recommend putting it in the middle shelf. Actually, no, I remove my middle shelf and I put it on the bottom shelf because it seems to rise quite a bit. And it depends on your oven, but I've had a few instances where it's risen and it's got the stack in the wire above it, which was an interesting moment. So I removed my middle shelf and I put it on the bottom shelf for, it takes probably about 50 minutes. When the timer is done, it should look golden and brown, and it should have risen quite a bit. and you should be able to put a skewer into it and it come out clean without anything on it. If it's still coming out like with a little bit of batter on it, then I recommend just putting it back in for another 5 minutes and then checking it again, and continue to do that until it comes out clean. I would love to see everyone's finished banana bread in the comments below. When mine's finished cooking, I will 100% take a photo and share it all with you, but I would love to see everyone else's as well. And if you have any recommendations of anything else you would like a tutorial on, cooking or baking wise, please also pop that in the comment. I have a really awesome oat and peanut butter cookie recipe that's really simple to make and has really minimal ingredients that lots of people would have. I also have like a really yummy raw Snickers slice recipe. Yeah, there's heaps of things that I can do, slices, all that sort of stuff. So if you want a tutorial on how to do them, yeah, pop it in the comments. Thank you for joining me today. I hope I didn't speed through it too quickly, and I will definitely be around if you have any questions. Just pop them in the comments, and I will definitely get back to you. And I can't wait to see everyone's banana bread. Enjoy and have a very happy Easter and safe not travels, but you know, stay safe and stay at home. And I will see you all another time.